Hey guys, welcome back to another What's for Dinner. So we are going to get started on some lasagna. So I am emptying out a tub of cottage cheese into this bowl, and then I'm going to go ahead and crack an egg in there and add some salt, pepper, and minced onion. Let me know, do you guys use ricotta cheese or do you use cottage cheese in your lasagna? We do not like ricotta cheese. It's a texture thing for us, and so I've always just used cottage cheese. So next I'm going to go ahead and add about a cup of Parmesan cheese. If I have grated cheese on hand, I will use that, or if I have shredded Parmesan cheese, I will use that, but either way, it's about a cup, and I'm just going to mix this in with the cottage cheese mixture and hand it off to the side to let it all marinate together. So here I have browned up some regular sausage. I will alternate between beef and sausage, and I had sausage on hand this time, so that is what we are using. And then I'm going to use our favorite pasta sauce. I used one whole jar and then about a half of the second jar. And I feel like that is very important to note in this recipe. You don't want to put all of the sauce in with the hamburger or the sausage, whatever it is. So I'm just mixing that all together and getting it ready to layer up my lasagna. So now we are going to go ahead and start layering. So I'm just putting some sauce in the bottom of the pan. This is a very big pan. I call this my lasagna pan. I believe it is like 13 by 20 or 17 by 20 maybe. It is a very large pan. So I just put some sauce on the bottom just to make sure that the noodles don't stick. And then I'm just going to go ahead and layer up the noodles. And then I will put the cottage cheese mixture on top of that, and then another layer of the sauce. And then I did have some provolone cheese in my fridge that I wanted to get used up, so I have that over there to the side, and I'm just going to layer that on top of the meat mixture. I also wanted to mention that I am using oven-ready lasagna. I have found that this is the easiest and best way to make lasagna for my family. I have a hard time boiling the noodles and then not getting them to stick together, so I always just opt for the oven-ready. Let me know down below, do you guys use oven-ready or do you boil your noodles first? As you can tell, I have alternated the way that I put the noodles. I just feel like it gives a lasagna better flavor because you're not always getting the same type of noodle whenever you're taking bites, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm just going to layer this back on. I put the other half of the cottage cheese mixture on top of these noodles, and then I'm going to layer up the meat sauce, and then go ahead and put the rest of the noodles on top of that meat sauce. So by this point, I only had 5 noodles left, which is pretty normal. So I just put those on top of as evenly as I possibly could. And then here is where the other half of the jar comes in. So I did not end up using the entire jar, but I did use just enough sauce to make sure that all of the noodles are coated. This is extremely important because if you have noodles that are not covered with sauce, they will be hard. So just make sure that you cover all of your noodles in sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and put some mozzarella cheese on top, and then throw some foil on top, and then I will bake this in the oven at 400 for 45 minutes. Okay, so at this point in the cooking process, I'm just going to take it out of the oven and take the foil off. I'm going to go ahead and bump up my temperature to 425 and take the foil off, and then I'm going to pop it back in the oven for 15 minutes on 425, and this is what is really going to brown up your cheese and give it that really, really pretty broiled look. Also, I'm going to go ahead and top it with some parsley just to make things a little bit prettier. Okay, so here is what it looks like when it came out of the oven. Isn't that so pretty? And then we just serve this with some garlic bread. There's a good look at the lasagna again. So pretty. That's probably one of the prettiest lasagnas I've ever made. And then I just made a quick salad. So here's what my plate looked like when everything was done. And that was so good that night. So this next night I'm making up some chili. So I am browning some hamburger over in my electric skillet. If you guys are interested in that skillet, it is always linked down below for you. So I just drained and rinsed some kidney beans, and then I'm going to add in some chili beans, and I believe I had rinsed some black beans as well. I have learned that for our size of family, 1 pound of hamburger, 3 cans of beans, and 1 can of tomato sauce is the perfect amount of chili for dinner, lunch, and then leftovers for another night of dinner. So after I have drained the grease off of the hamburger, I'm just going to add that back into the crock pot, and then just mix everything together, make sure it's all coated. Also, I have a can of tomato sauce here, and I'm using my Kitchen Mama can opener. I believe I still have a discount code for them. If I do, I will leave it linked down below for you. And then I'm going to mix up 2 cups of beef broth. I like to keep this beef broth powder on hand because it is so easy to mix up whenever you need it. I have some for chicken broth as well. So I am just letting the Kitchen Mama do its thing, and then I'm going to dump the tomato sauce into the beef broth and just mix it all together. I just thought it was easier to do that way. And then I'm going to dump it in the crock pot, mix everything together, and I will cook this on low while I'm at work for about 8 hours, and it comes out perfect every time. Also, I forgot to mention that while I was cooking my beef, I did season it with onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, salt, pepper, and some cumin just to give it that chili flavor. And then I added some frozen onions and peppers that I just had in my freezer. So here's what it looks like when it is all done. It looks so good. It had the perfect consistency this time. I was really proud of this chili. And then I always just make like a Frito pie with mine. So I've got the chili on the bottom with some Fritos, some cheese, and French onion dip. So now I'm going to get started on the next night's dinner. My husband wanted chili dogs, so I'm just making some hot dogs in the air fryer. If you've not tried those, you definitely should. And then I actually wanted a baked potato. I had the chili for lunch that day, and I was all chilied out. So I'm just poking some holes in these potatoes, and I'm going to throw these in the microwave for about 6 minutes. So here, I did just want to show you guys what I was feeding my kids for dinner. They did not like the chili, and I don't know, sometimes they just need something different. So I let them have cereal for this night. Call me a bad mom, I don't care, but they ate their dinner and they were fed, and that is what they had for dinner that night. So now that the air fryer hot dogs are done, I am going to go ahead and crisp up the buns in the air fryer as well. If you guys are interested in my air fryer hot dog recipe, I did have a what's for dinner with that recipe, and it's super easy, and it is really good. So here I am just assembling the chili dogs for my husband, and as you can see, we were almost out of this chili. I did end up freezing the rest of it, and we will have it for a later dinner. And then I'm just going to top his with some cheese as well. I did grate my own cheese, and I feel like this has such a better flavor. So here is what his looked like when it was all done. So now I'm just going to get started on my baked potatoes. I did do 2 small ones, so it looks like quite a bit of potatoes, but it's really not by the time you take all the skin and everything off, which I do. I don't eat the skin. So I'm just topping mine with some butter, salt, pepper, and then some cheese, and I'll let that melt. And then I added some homemade ranch on top of mine, and I just had baked potatoes. I thought about putting chili on top, but I was so burnt out on this chili, so I just had baked potatoes plain that night. And then here is what my baked potato looked like when it was all done. It's just a really simple, easy dinner for that night. So this last recipe is actually a dessert. On Pinterest, they called it strawberry cheesecake dump cake. So that is what I'm making here. I just started out with some strawberry pie filling, and I'm going to add that to the bottom of a greased cake dish. This is a 9x13. I'm just going to spread it all around and make sure that it is even. So here I have softened up some cream cheese. So I'm just putting some dollops all over the strawberry spread, and then I'm going to add some sugar because I did taste it and it didn't seem like it was sweet enough. So I am going to add just a little bit of sugar to it as well. And then I thought that it would be fun to top it with some chocolate chips. So I went ahead and added just a little bit of chocolate chips as well. Okay, so next, this is where it all went wrong. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm just dumping in some cake mix. I just used the French vanilla, and then I'm adding in a half a cup of melted butter, which is what the directions said, but as you can see, it all came together and it was super clumpy, so I was having a really hard time getting this to spread on top of the cake. But after it was all said and done, I spread it as good as I possibly could, and then I baked it in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and it came out, it was really good. My husband really liked it, my kids liked it, but it definitely was not the prettiest thing in the world. So that is going to be it for today's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new. I do What's for Dinners every Fridays, and I also post grocery hauls on Sundays. And then if you're interested in working mom content, then I always post weekly vlogs on Wednesday. So if you guys are interested in that type of thing, I would love it if you would stick around and subscribe. But other than that, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.